All right, Kimo, we're back again. They said the third time's the charm, and today we're gonna be a little bit more focused on a specific issue that has been on the rise lately, primarily because a lot more people are becoming aware that this is even an issue that they can face, and that's hypothyroidism. So that's when you have an underactive thyroid gland. For those who are watching who, this is the first they're hearing of this, and your body is not operating in the way that it should be. So some of the symptoms that you'd probably face would be like dry skin, dry coarse hair, possibly hair loss, memory loss, constipation, sensitivity to cold, infertility, poor brain development, foggy brain, that comes with the memory loss, anxiety and depression, as well as weight gain. And I was recently diagnosed, I was officially diagnosed, I'd say October 2020, when I was on my fertility journey, trying to have a second child. And at my physical, I asked for a hormone test. And since then, it's been quite a journey. Like, I'm now expecting, but, just the process in itself, or how serious I took it, I think a lot of people out there are not in the know. This is a life-threatening disease. If it's something that's going, on uncontrolled, and you're consuming the wrong foods, you have the possibility to end up in a coma. So it's definitely something that's worth paying attention to, especially if the symptoms that I've listed out are things that you can resonate with, like things that you have experienced, or someone who have experienced this. So being my resident herbalist and someone that I've trusted, with my health for years, I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about it, because I realized just from the information out there that it's not a lot. And a lot of people don't know how to approach diet and nutrition when it comes to hypothyroidism, and just how to handle it, whether or not it's irreversible, because it's when you get that diagnosis, you're told this will be with you for the rest of your life, and nobody really wants to live like that. So Kimo, like, I don't know, hopefully you can help me and help the people, because, the aim is to live a more wholesome life, definitely improve our health so that, we can grow and be around and watch our kids and develop for a long time.
We'll give thanks to the Almighty for the blessing always, Princess. But, one of the misconceptions about sickness is that when an issue is being penciled out, like you take this, you extract it, or put it aside as one entity of a sickness, that is when it begins to come paranoid. The thyroid gland sits in the endocrine system, which is what I'm call hormone or a messenger system. And this is a system that transmits message from your brain to outward or downward. And what happens, since it deals with energy production and also iodine balance, which we know come from the ocean,
right?
And so a few plants also. But we could not address the thyroid gland as if it is separated from the rest of the body.
Right.
Because in the first place, when you find out you have hypothyroidism or any other issue to face, it never starts in your thyroid gland. So then we have to ask, where this problem come from? And since the pituitary gland gives the thyroid gland its information, then we have to wonder if at the pituitary gland, but we find out, say, no, under the pituitary gland. But you say something. One of the symptoms is constipation. Now, when you touch upon that note, which we know is the perpetrator and the mastermind of at least 99% of people's sickness,
True. And that's something that you always share in terms of like where the gut is like the breeding ground for a lot of disease.
Yes, because in there, look at words is what is being formulated to address issues. So if you look at this word they call trimethylamine, which is a chemical that stagnates the blood.
Right.
How this come about is from flesh that decay in the digestive system. So for instance, you eat beef or pork, it don't sit well. It stay there and it rotten. Then it form bacilli, fungus, parasites. Now these little creatures, we call them monsters, them defecate back into the body. Them use it as a breeding ground or a host for them small ones. The problem with them is that they migrate also. Now, when these migrate, it have a foul scent inside the body. That is why when people go bathroom and defecate, it ain't sitting too well with the nostril. It mash up the house in a problem.
That's true.
But the problem with that scent is that it not come out of you, it stay inside and move around your body. Mm. So it stagnate the rhythm and the frequency and the energy of the blood. Once that blood cannot move freely, it amper energy. That is how people even get hypertension. Now, if you look at multiple sclerosis or thyroidism or meningitis, we are talking about brain problem now. Since the thyroid gland sit up here, so thyroid gland, Alzheimer's, meningitis, rhinitis, sinusitis.
Those all affect the brain.
Right. They are not different from each other. They are the same problem. It's just mucus. People say, oh, can all of this be mucus? But is that once you go into the mediocrical system, their language is not what you really can break down unless if you Google something. So if somebody say quercetin or alkamine or superoxide dismutase, this is the language that they speak. You wouldn't know what the hell that means anyway. You would have to go medical dictionary and break down that words. If you look at serotonin, GABA, melatonin, these are words, but serotonin is basically a good feeling hormone. But where does that feeling comes from? In your gut. It's actually when you go bathroom and defecate, the body feel light and the feeling rush to the brain.
True, right. Actually. Yes.
So what happened now, we just been bombarded and bamboozled with words to break down sickness. So thyroidism, which is just a lacking of iodine, if you get a plant, what them call, let me see remember the name of this plant, them call it bugleweed. Bugleweed, which is a plant that deals with the thyroidism. Now, also, if you go to the ocean, you find bladderwrack, which is actually another plant that deals with thyroidism. But let's say we never find none of them plants, you know. Would it say that we could not provide the body back with iodine for the thyroid gland function?
And what if, like, just based on your diet, or a lot of our salt now that we buy in the store is iodized? Could you be eating enough iodine in your diet, but it's not being absorbed in the body? Like, could that be an issue?
But let's put it in perspective of life. If we jump into the Bible a little bit, in Leviticus 17, verse 11, it says, for the life of the flesh is the blood. Just listen to that little tiny sentence. The life of the flesh is the blood. So the flesh and the blood give it life. So in other words, everything we make in your body was created by the blood. Somebody will say, I don't think so, but let's check it. When a woman gets impregnated, the semen connect to the egg and the fallopian tube carried to the uterus and stay there for 9 months. During that time, the woman is preparing what they call an intravenous space, which is a maternal pool of blood, just pure blood. And like a tree trunk, it stick right in there in that blood plasma, in that blood bank. Now, then comes the umbilical cord stretching out into pitch black inside the woman's womb. Now the child is going to be formed. That card, all it carries blood. It is that blood now I go farm this baby. Everything, blood, not bone, no gristle, no nothing, just pure blood. And as the Bible said in the wrong, the life in the blood. That is why when you go doctor, then do the first test, blood test, they might do other tests now because they want to make it look complex. But everything sits in the life, in the blood. That's why people can't just cut them on and just bleed out to death. You can't cut off a toe and you must drop down unless it bleed too hard. When you cut main vein, your blood leak out. Why am I saying this? It's to let you know how simple it is. Even if you don't have a bladderwrack or bugleweed, which has been known higher than plants, one from the sea, one from the land, you would still get rid of the thyroidism. The body cannot metabolize flesh. So when you eat flesh, notice if 9 billion people in the world, not everybody have thyroidism, right? It's simple. Someone have diabetes, someone have colon cancer, someone have arthritis, some have leukemia, some have mucus or fibromyalgia, some have thyroidism. So whenever the blood spit out any mucus, wherever it lodge, or wherever any parasite invade, that section of your body gets damaged. So in your case, your thyroid gland, which is the endocrine system where your reproductive system sits in. That is why infertility, everything with the thyroid gland have to do with energy and human growth hormone. Also, sleep timing and rhythm and wake cycle. The thyroid gland deal with all of those things. It get damaged. What about the thymic system, the thymus gland? What's similar?
Yeah,
right
hypothalamus, right?
Right. That deal with aging and that deal with the antioxidant, make you youthful and look young. What about the pituitary gland that secrete and give the thyroid gland information? But what about the pineal gland that makes cells for the rest of the endocrine system? It's on the crown of your brain. So all of them connected. But what happened is that once one of them get affected, knowing say you have pituitary, hypothalamus, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, submonticular gland, saliva gland, pancreatic gland, adrenal gland, and right inside the reproductive system and the prostate in man. All of them are gland come right down. Even diabetes has to do with thyroid gland and the endocrine system because it's in there. Your kidneys has to do.
And the thyroid gland helps with glucose regulation.
Right.
You find that persons who have hypothyroidism, they're likely to have like low blood sugar. They might be hypoglycemic because the thyroid gland helps to regulate how you burn calories.
Right.
And even with, I was gonna say something on the, on the pineal gland, like sleep deprivation, like none of that is beneficial to the body because you put more work on the thyroid gland.
But the body produces, I think, 500 billion blood cells, new blood cells every day, just for your energy production, for your function. But you kill at least 10 million per minute. Imagine you're not killing none of them blood cells. And that 500 billion stays with you throughout the day. It will actually roll over the next day. But according to eating, behavioral pattern, and words, so your integrity of your body run physically and spiritually. So anything that yours not supposed to say and say, it may kill at least 1 million good cells.
What? Say that again.
If you say something negative, but the body always no want, it may kill just 1 million blood cells. Like if you get aggressive.
Listen, it was like 2 nights ago, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine just about like our ability as humans to just like we're naturally inclined to the negative. You have to work hard to keep positive. You have to work hard to find the good. And we're talking about, okay, always stop complaining. Something as simple as complaining. And I'm like, I couldn't relate it to like back to the body so as eloquently as you did. But when you said that just now, when you're around negativity, your energy drained for true.
Right.
It take a lot out of you to be able to push through. So wow, I did not make that connection at all.
If you get aggressive, the chemical of the blood change from positive to negative, and you can end up with hypertension just by getting aggressive, because you burn so much energy to get boisterous, and you start being aggressive, boisterous, and insidious. Your body create more acid. You can just drop down same place. And so what happens if we try to separate a gland from the rest of the body? It would look like that gland is independent. So this is how we deal with thyroid gland. We simply say, just like everything else, stop eating the food we eat. Put in more fruits that has seed, that is 100% natural. The body cannot break down flesh and glue, possible. So if you look at metabolism on Google, you would say a set of chemical that is said to run the cell structure to come from solid to liquid, because the body only accept liquid meal. It don't accept dumpling and yam and chicken and cocoa. And it can't accept box milk or Lasco milk or tin milk, Betty milk, or any one of them.
Right.
Because it's sticky, glue, and the body already have a mucous membrane that is already sticky. It is the protector of the lining cells. And so when you put on another glue, I call it the malignant system. So God make you so much system, lymphatic, circulatory, endocrine system. Then human beings give a system. We call it the slime or the malignant system. They use food to deliver it to your body. So for instance, now you have your sardine, your tin mackerel, your bully beef, your white rice, your pig steel, your ox steel. That is malignant, slimy nature things. And it creates fungus and pus and parasite, and it rotten, and it's in your body, and it's stinking in your system. That flows to your brain. So there's the aggression come, the bad thoughts, the negative behavior, boisterous, immoral situation. That damage everything, pineal, pituitary, thyroid, thymus. That's why we age even fast, because it kills also the thymic cells. So when we go into the body, to fix thyroid gland, it's simple. Take you away from the food that you eat. Of course, if it is a thyroid problem you're diagnosed with, what we will do, pay emphasis on the thyroid gland while cleaning the body in the first place that cause the thyroid gland to get dysfunctional. And that is how we get rid of our sickness. It's not difficult. There's nothing hard about it. It's just a little tiny knowledge that you need to have to move the problem. And the thyroid gland balance up back because it gets what it wants. Even if you get, say, a gallon dose of iodine to the thyroid gland, you will get a little tiny buzz, but it won't fix it. Why it won't fix it? Because in the first place, the thyroid gland never just get up and damage by itself. Something set a trap feet and it fall in there. And
what about like foods like, so if you look up things to avoid or foods to avoid when you have hypothyroidism, you'll see that cruciferous vegetables are on that. So like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, they're on the things to avoid list. Are those actually foods that we should be avoiding, or based on what you've shared just now on fruits and vegetables, like how do we go about like picking our stuff? Because like for persons like myself, I'm based in the US, everything GMO. Like you got to pick a watermelon and it's seedless. You got to get some grapes and it's seedless. Like no strawberries in season, so you can get some strawberry seeds. But like most of the fruits that are available for wider consumption are not made up that way.
One thing with the Almighty, I think where there's evil is always good, and where there's good there's always evil. It's just how to find it. I still think the United States still have some semblance of goodness when it comes to food. It's just that the real search for it sometime, but everything now in life that is good come like gold, or diamond, or rubies, or cobalt. You actually have to go dig to find it. That me realize that even in my country, me say that me have to pick out special farmers at the market to say, all right, I'm look a whole man, when me no know about the pesticide. I may say, you me want to give me my thing. If you're that interested in your diet. But if you just go to the normal place where them set up, you're going to get catch. And I tell you this, I was in California back while, and I looked for some good grapes. And so, no, not California, New York first time. I went into a natural, so-called natural place. And I went to get some grape. And when I went in there, I see some big grapes, but I realized them not no seed in them. So I said, no, I don't want them. So I say a Mexican I come out and call him, see my push a cat. And I say, I need some good grapes. Him say, good grapes. I say, yeah, with seeds. Him say, oh, they're in the back. Them don't put them on the shelf. Them put out the seedless one. And I send him around there and he carry them, come give me. But even those good grapes that we have as good grapes is not really even the original grapes. The original grapes is sea grape, and those grow on seaside. That is where urbanization, but this grape we eat is like the first version from the mother.
Right.
So it's not that damaging. You still can eat that guy with seeds. So it's the same thing. When there's no special food in a man-made food you can avoid. You have to avoid all food what man make. What God make is a different thing. And those are the ones you still have to search for, your fruits, your berries, and your vegetables. Because no care what kind of food them can say, don't eat this, but eat that. It not gonna work. The problem is not so much of the thyroid, say it's sick. The problem is what we are consuming. But you have to know what to put in. And then when you are putting food, there's also another misconception of food. Herbs is food. Herbs itself, that is what we call them, self-food. So as we say, bugle weed is very good. Say if you live in a first world country where you consume a lot of GMO, then you know, so you have to have herbs in your house. If you fight because you're in a war.
True, like just based on the stash that you sent me, or things that you'd have told me to buy, I swear, every Jamaican that come to my house, I'm like, look, when last did I drink some bitters? When last? You guys have this arsenal, because I realize just even like having my family, drink a cup of herbal tea, or just have that where we have a weekend where, I give them a flush or something. It is a drastic improvement just in terms of even performance, or how the skin look, or just what they're able to do. So I can just imagine for those persons who haven't been doing anything.
I just say that I have clients all over the world. I have this client, diabetic client in England, husband and wife, and they send on the buyer package, and I send it to them, and I'm going to do him checkup. And when he text me and he say, boy, everything good now, everything good. Then him send for another package. And I say, what happened? What go on? And him say, well, my family come up here from Jamaica, and some they already in England. And him come and him see the package. So them want some of them start drink. But them realize, when them take it, them come back when another package come to. And them say, them drink the thing and start feel good, and they want to take out the whole of mine. So now him buy the package and he would have start selling them like a 30 ml and say, go and drink that, but you have to pay for it. Guide cost %. People now are discovering, instead of you have Tylenol, aspirin in your house, make sure you get some herbal product put in there. You know, if you're sick, just consume. Because if it is not the thyroid gland, it's the thymus gland or the bone marrow, but something going damage. It's not only food that damages us anymore, also the element, the sky is being sprayed. So you have a fight constant just to survive.
Mm-hmm.
But as we say, specifically, food, fruits, and vegetables is the best thing to consume. And if you want to buy some bugleweed, buy some bladderwrack, get some Crunchus crispus sea moss. Those are excellent for thyroid function. They call it minute quantity enzymes, just a minute of them in the thymic cell and inside of the thyroid cell. Them are good. But in the maintenance sense, we tell you that I am still take down your baby back ribs. That ain't going to work. That you defeat the cost. How we actually achieve. If you look at a piece of flesh that won't break down because you can't chew a piece of beef to liquid, just impossible. You can't chew chicken to water, it's impossible. You can't chew rice and peas or white rice to liquid. Those are glue and gel, so them stuck. And once something stuck, it can sometimes even mass addition. This is where tumor and fibroid and cysts and lump in your breast develop. And anything was stuck in your belly automatically damage your brain. It's not the other way around. Because the brain will store meat, but the juices from it are the scent from it in the body travel to the brain. As the Bible said, the stench from a earth went up onto heaven. And it damaged the brain. And once the brain can't function for the electrical grid travel and the spinal cord come down for information, you're in problem. Then if your network damage, which is your lymphatic system, that's it for you. You know, so you just get in there with your bitters, the body run good and bitter stuff, you know. And if you want to buy your bladderwrack and your blue weed and put in a house.
A big question for a lot of people is, for those that I've seen who have been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and even myself, when I just talked to you about it, is it irreversible? Like, one of the things you'll hear from your doctor if you're diagnosed is that, okay, well, your body's not producing T3, T4 hormones, and it needs TSH, a TSH stimulant, a thyroid stimulating hormone stimulant to be able to produce that T3, T4 hormone. And that's something that you need for the rest of your life. So this is the replacement drug that you're supposed to be taking every day just to be able to have that normal function. There are people who have been diagnosed with it at the age of 11, 10, 15. You know, I was just diagnosed at 30, but to me, it feels like a life sentence to hear that this is something that I have to do for the rest of my life. Like, in my mind, diabetes and hypertension was it, because that's all that I was aware of in my family. And I'm saying if I can avoid those, then I've done a great job. So the irony of being diagnosed with another life-threatening disease that you'll have to be medicated on for the rest of your life, like, that don't sit well with me at all. So, of course, the question is it irreversible?
Remember, a gland inside of your body, it's in there, you know, it's still in your body. It's not, them never cut it out.
Right.
So it's still in there. What is happening it is that it is inactive because it is not getting the food that it requires. If you look good, let's say you have heart problems, I have cholesterol, let's say you have Alzheimer's, for talking sake. Alzheimer's is the brain. Heart problem is your heart. And cholesterol is your blood.
Mm-hmm.
So the blood requires iron phosphate to make it runs good. That is the mineral for the blood. And the heart requires calcium chloride to make it operate good. The brain needs copper and carbon, potassium phosphate. So if you look at those three minerals, those make those three systems function. Where does the thyroid gland sit? In the brain. Everything from up here deals with the brain. Specific is iodine, calcium chloride for your heart, potassium phosphate for your brain. But it not cut out, it's in there. It has some dysfunctional behavior because it is not being fed. A hungry man can't stand up, you know. You can't send hungry soldier go war. Physicality and spirituality is the same thing in some aspect. You have to feed things with what it needs to operate. It is simple like that. If you don't water a plant, what happens?
Don't grow.
Simple. So that's the food for the plant. The next type of food of the plant needs is sunlight to get chlorophyll. And the tree flourish and look beautiful. The fish needs water. The bird needs air, sky. So if you understand the simple logic, you will find out, say, what then the thyroid gland need? Iodine. But somebody so-called more knowledgeable than you are always what you think, because these are, we call it biological dogma. Authoritative people will say, you have to take this for the rest of your life if you're going to die. No, it can't go so. You are functioning. You are functioning, you're living, you're talking, you're smiling, making love. But it's the information that is being conveyed to your brain. Remember this brain here. We call it the seven heaven: smell, 2 nostrils, 2 eyes for see, 2 ears for hear, and your mouth. Everything goes to it. And once it reaches up there, there's systems that collect information and store them. Now, you don't feel good when you hear that information. So you start thinking about it already and you say, people need to see me, I have to really dip on this. Yes, man, fear. Like a daughter has HIV a couple of years ago. And she have a long sore in her foot till it start produce worms. And when we pull up back the foot of flesh, she texts and said, this is a miracle. And I said, no, man, that's a herbs work. Now she get rid of her HIV. Then 3 years, I think about, not 3 years, we're in 2022. And that happened from about 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5 years ago. She have a bloated system. And so she called me and said she don't feel good, just a couple of weeks ago. Then she, when I back from her, she went to the doctor. Then she called me back 2 weeks after and sound like she got dead. So I said, what? She said, doctor said to her, I said, anyhow she live out of the hospital, she got dead. So I said, why would your doctor tell her? She said, that's what he said, I'm going to die if I leave out the hospital. So I said, well, her belly puff, gastroenteritis, and there's a mass. I would say, all right. I said, but I understand you get rid of one problem, so you never call me.
One.
Yeah, you should have called me when this happened. Okay, obviously come off of the part. And once you come off of the part, you have to pay the ultimate price. This is life. Life of a code that you run and live by. And if you step aside,
right there, you know.
Yeah, you can't violate that code. It's a code of ethics and laws. If you go against God's law, you have to feel it. If you can't hear, you must feel. So the thyroid gland can be activated, simple. Very simple, it can be activated. It's there. Thyroid gland is not different from the pancreatic gland. The pancreatic gland needs chrominum with diabetes. And if it's dysfunctional, it's because it buzz tight with too much insulin or maybe metformin. But if you go and let's say you take even nettle plant is full of chrominum. And if you start feed the pancreas gland, it jump up back and it produces pancreatic juice and move out the galactose.
That's very true, because I remember after my initial conversation and you told me to get bladderwrack, I found like a combination with bladderwrack, sea moss, and something else. And I started taking it and I literally felt that jolt in my throat. And I was like, okay, energy. I'm like, okay, this is impossible. I felt like if this is supposed to be the normal, then it's been years, decades that have been operating under that radar, because I've always taken iron tablets from having anemia, which led to constipation. And that cycle go over and over. But just even, you know, I would say the last 5 months consecutively, having bladder as something that I would take as a capsule has helped tremendously, because I've shared with you that the last time I went on the medication from the doctors and came off abruptly, because in my mind, this is not real. And started having heart palpitations, like severe heart palpitations, and went to the ER. And at that point, like, I was told that my T3, T4 levels, which are usually at around a 4, for an average normal functioning adult, were at 16. And so that could potentially lead to coma, could potentially lead to so many other issues, because to your point, the thyroid gland is attached to the adrenal gland. So for no reason, my adrenal gland was pumping out adrenaline. So I was constantly in a state of fight or flight with no reason to be that way.
But you're feeling that way? In
I
fight
was
or flight?
that way, yeah. So I would
what
feel
they
like,
say, your
okay,
adrenal gland are pumped too much.
right. So I was in the kitchen cooking, and all of a sudden you feel that rush where you feel like, okay, you're in trouble, something's happening, like what's going around. And it took about 3 days, because I'm like, okay, maybe it's my mind, or maybe it's a wear off, until I went to the hospital. And after, consecutively taking like the bladder, within a month, my blood work was down from 16 to 8. Within another month, it was down from 8 to 4. And I'm waiting to see whether or not it has gone down, because for someone who's pregnant, your thyroid gland needs to be operating at a 2, because thyroid hormones help with baby brain development. And of course, as a mother, you want to ensure that your child is getting everything that they can possibly get to best prepare them for the world. Like, there's so many unknowns, but there's so much that is in your control. So like, just being able to know that, okay, I'm doing this one thing, it's helping me, but it's also helping, my unborn child. Like, I feel like I have so much more control over the situation with just that bit of understanding.
If it look good, princess, we are primitive people. I'm a bush person. As much as I'm living in a modern society, I don't think modern. Why? Because I have studied the modern world.
Right.
And before I have so much drive of information, influx of information coming in left, right, and center. It puzzles your mind, because you don't know if this is truth or if it's lie. And so you have to think and try figure things out fast. As you talk about the thyroid gland and the function of the baby, choline, which is also another chemical that is good for the child, and they find it in a nettle. Bladder, these are also part of the thyroid gland, but it also for the bone and the heart, because the calcium plant. Any form of iron plant is the best, same way, because any other plant you put near a iron plant, that iron plant pull those to it, because iron is magnet, it's fire. And so is that fire now that form the child. That's why the body run heat. Just like if you urinate and you catch it, you notice it's warm. So the body is a fire zone, and a blood and an iron plant make it work. So the thyroid gland itself wouldn't function only just an iodine. That's why people fuse it with iron plants, because iron is a sender and a traveler and a distributor. It carries things to where it needs to go. Right. And if you check the information them that is coming in, you will get confused sometimes. Just like how you're videoing me now. People ask me the same thing quite often on them type of behavior. And when we said to them, say, net is very important when you're pregnant. Likewise, vervine. And likewise, if you can get coconut milk, more like hard jelly to make milk. Why? Because you don't want to be taken in pus, what I'm calling a box milk. Because your child may born looking good, but he might have issue by the time catch a couple months with mucus. You understand me? So the world was a little bit simpler and better, and we're stronger before we even have so much complex information. Now that we have so much information, by right, we're supposed to be intelligent, but we're not, because the information is not validated by life itself. After already I find out, but this not help me. And I say, oh, comes because the information is showing that it helps. But your experience is the opposite. You understand me? And then I remember my baby mother pregnant a couple years ago, 9 years ago, and they must say, take this and take that and take that. And she come to me and show me the things. And I said, don't take none of them, because I want my little daughter for born. But she'd already take maybe 3/4 and the child almost dead.
Wow.
The little girl literally fight for your life to come on this planet. I may have to take her off of them and say, take this nettle alone. Just drink it constant. And as it comes now. And I want to show you something. We don't know, we expect the child to born at a certain level. But each human being born also born with a complex of different minerals that they need to survive. But they have a main one. And if you're born in April, you're a brain child. And so that means say you have to take brain food, potassium.
What about October?
I think October is a magnesium, like magnesium, calcium, bone, and blood vessel and heart function. God, that's what calcium and magnesium deal with. You know, and December people are like silica. And so when you understand the
hard to get from like your diet, that's something that you'd need definitely from like herbs to supplement, like magnesium, you know, those zinc, those kinds of minerals.
That is why Crungus crispus, what we call CMAS, but Crungus crispus itself is very good to have. Why? Because it have all of those minerals in it. If you really look for a food where support your whole chemistry of your body, Crungus crispus is good.
Right.
Just by consuming that constant every day, whether smoothie or tea or porridge, drink it. It have all of those minerals. But people ask about them can't do it every day, but they eat rice and peas every day. You know, so you just want to forget it clean. But everything what we say, there's no difficulty in removing thyroid dysfunction. It's an easy thing to move. Not deny it. Just eat right and take in herbs. We don't have to make it look like, say, we are going to separate it from the rest of the system and eat the whole tassel and just deal with it. No. It is
everything starts from the mind still. Like it's a mindset shift. Right. And
they mess with your mind.
Once you are able to prioritize, like for me, life is the most important thing. Like right now. Like I can have all the goals that I want, but if I'm not alive or well enough to pursue it, then that's null and void.
Yeah, man.
But, you know, once you look at it from that way, there's really only one answer. Because even, you know, just looking at, recently I did a study on diabetes and just how much like what we're eating, just the way we grew up, we still eat, Jamaica will still eat like we're slaves.
Yeah, man. About a slave food we eat.
Yeah, but we're not in that condition anymore. Like we're not even as active. Like the slave them usually walk around, burn 5,000, 6,000 calories easy. So by the time them eat 2 pieces of yam and 3 banana and piece of pumpkin, it work itself off. You know, but like we're not doing that anymore. So but the diet has not evolved. And I feel like for many people, that's a challenge. Like we grew up and we get attached to a certain way of life.
Yes.
And in a way, like if I didn't realize it until I did the research that in a way, a part of my identity was the food, like was the enjoyment was, and we've talked about this, and just the mindset shift for me kind of felt like I was betraying my heritage, kind of felt like, okay, and turn back home and grow up. And it might seem simple, but if you talk to somebody from China there's a sense of pride that come over them when they talk about the food. You talk to somebody from Italy, they would tell you, say, American pasta and a real pasta, it's not a real cheat. Like there's a sense of pride. And it is for all of us, it's something that you can relate to because there's so many stories attached to that. But you have to give yourself permission to detach from that. You have to give yourself permission to understand, say, okay, that was where we're at mentally, that was where we're at knowledge-based, like way back when. We're not there anymore. And you have to kind of evolve the thinking if you want to really, survive.
It's simple. And I will say this all right. It's very simple to heal the body. Very, very simple. It's no mathematical equation. God make you would exit your anus, your vagina, your penis, excretory system. You let out waste. You can never, ever get better when you're sick without defecating, urinating, and sweat. It's simple. I mean, we could have put so much complex research over the thousands of years of research of heal the body. And take this to your thyroid gland. Take this to your eye. If you're blind, obvious mucus step on the top of your brain, on your pie meter, door meter, sticking at the mucous membrane on top of your two your marrow in your brain. And it a drain down on your eye. But you go cube and scrape it. And you go see good for 1 year, then a year and a half, 2 years after that, you come back again. You understand me? You have to put on this glass, but if you take it off, you can't see. So now you see the glass I see. The mucus within your head have to run out. You have to urinate it out, defecate it out, sweat it out. We want to pretty talk. I know people were coming from a world where when you use a certain ambience, and so when you got a certain habits and it look nice and yeah. But in reality, it is that you have to visit your bathroom. What bars call it, you have to go to the commode. You must defecate. Right now, I am eating fruits maybe over 7 days because I violate my code of ethics. Me eat something I'm not supposed to eat, and the body say, so you have to pay for this too. I'm say yes. So
what did you eat? What did you eat?
Me go eat some rice. Me know me not eat it, Me did have me hungry and me work hard and me send my son go buy some food, some banana and steamed vegetable. And then go there and say, boy, daddy, I'm going 2 banana alone there. Me say, what did them say rice? Me say, all right, take the rice. The body say, well, watch it, And I say, I can't override it. And by the next day, I mash up. I feel like me have shorter breath, feel like me have diabetes, high blood pressure, everything just a spread out. So I say, all right, I'm my fault. I take me beat. So I sit down and I just buy 4 dozen mango with my 9OC, my capsule, and I die night same my energy just rise this morning. I flush it back out. You can't go just take one look of something and say, well, boy, it go. No, it have to come back out. Your thyroid gland have a mucus surround it. Raw cold, sit on it. If you looking at your body, that's what I'm going to show you. Them now going to tell you that. Them going to tell you one whole complex of different things, but that is what it is. When you have sinusitis and you blow your nose, what come out?
Mucus.
When you have bronchitis, what used to come up?
Mucus.
When you have asthma, what used to come up?
Yep, mucus.
If you run water through this nostril, if you try to clear head and look on the next side, a rock, well, let's say coming out,
Yeah.
That is what sits around the thyroid gland. And all it needs is that to clear off. And once that clear off, you're good. You can never, ever get better from no sickness in the world until you go to the bathroom. Okay, what you do, you're going to stay sick. Once you start going to the bathroom, them call it serotonin, the good feel hormone. Flying ahead and you feel light and well and you can fly off. That is what we're stuck in your digestive system. So people want pretty top and them just want something to deal with the thyroid gland alone. No. You have to visit your bathroom to flush the waste.
Yeah.
And once that come out, I've been bathrooming for a couple of days as well. And anytime I leave us now, I told me 9 or seen there, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to drink maybe 2 cups And by a man, may stay in a bathroom for 25 minutes. And about the body keep on feeling light and you fuel it water, drink water, drink water. And if your head get nauseous, then may have my iron tea or my IIB capsule, me take 8 and stabilize by the energy. And you're good to go. That is the key, princess, nothing else. We have all the hospital, do all type of operation, all the doctors in the world. That is why people don't get better. It may sound away, but you cannot get better. In Russia, I heard, I'm not sure, but I heard there's a system in Russia, which is not good. But if you meet in an accident, may say once you reach at the hospital, then put it through an enema before them do nothing.
They put you through a what?
Enema. When them insert this to your rectum and
Okay.
start flush you.
Oh, enema. Okay.
Right. And them ask why, them say because them can get to anything quicker when the blockage move. No, we not subscribe to that because God never make that's an exit. You know, but we tell people, just look at that. Them supposed to rush them people, but them know so once them take waste out of the body that fast, the sickness or broke bone or damaged brain relaxes. If you look at high blood pressure, or when a man go get a strokes, or you go drop down, your back of your neck stiff up. You know, the energy will lock off. Yeah. And if you drink some bitters like 9OC, just drop it on your tongue. It neutralizes the feeling right away. And the body feels better. Because bitter plants regulate energy. The whole digestive system runs on bitters. And the whole of the blood runs on bitters also, but sweet also, which is not galactose or fructose, but actually glucose, not the synthetic one. Fruit glucose. And you feel good. And that's the only way under the sun you get rid of sickness. There's no other way. You see it every day and you know. People out there's mad. Walk up and down. No doctor can't cure that. But you take him up over the street and you clean out in gut and send resonance to him brain with carbon and copper plant. The madman turn back around and come back to his family. You would wonder how that is possible because him have too much waste. Let's add up with upon him then. That's where people that say I'm mad, them mad. But even if I'm mad, them mad, it lick the nervous system. You still have to clean the gut and put plants on the nervous system to wire it back and the information travel again. And in good, that we do it before. Things where people that say, this is not possible, where I say it's possible. That the Almighty make the plans them to make it possible.
Yeah.
Send him to the bathroom. The only thing give up problem in this really are dead people. We don't know if he heal dead people yet. But everything else can fix.
So I mean, it's good to hear a message of hope. Like, and even though I've heard it before, just hearing that again, and just reminding myself, okay, it's not the end of the world. You know, once you understand, once you have additional information, once you're armed with, okay, what's the next step? You have a manual now of what you need to do. Like from there, it's up to you to kind of do it. That's an amazing feeling. That in and of itself, you know, how serious you are in terms of actually getting it done is another thing. What's that?
This is Cascara ciclada. People must keep this in the house.
What is that good for?
It's a laxative plant. You keep that in your house. Say you buy a pound and you take like a teaspoon and you get like 2 cups of water and you boil it to a cup. And you take the whole day and drink it. What you will find out, diabetes, cholesterol, heart issues, liver problem. Take your time, start to correct. Why? Because it will send you to the bathroom. And it's so bitter that the whole entire body wake up when you start drinking it. And it send you to the bathroom when you start You start shake already. Because the electrical system comes alive when you drink it. So you drink it, my God, ooh, nerves then wake up and run out. So it is simple like that. You know, the information that we get through the world of sickness, people can't heal because the information what them get and them try it. YouTube, Google have so much information, but yet most of them don't tell you say, I forgot the bathroom. A man say, suppose somebody have nervous breakdown. So let's say a thyroid system a malfunction, which also going to give nervous issues. And it will give you, as I say,
anxiety.
Right, and fight and flight. So that will damage your whole nervous system. What would you do? Well, first, if the person is too nervous, too weak, we won't send them to the commode right away. What we'll do is stabilize the nerves. Make it sit down and relax itself. Make you can go sleep. Once you start sleep, the nerves start recharge and the information can travel on the spinal cord, what they call the hub of electricity. Once that happens and you feel relaxed, we slowly cleanse you. Because if we don't cleanse you, it will activate again because the problem is sitting in your gut.
It's not solved. Right.
Right. Is the abdominal
like
cavity.
For someone like me who's the moment I got pregnant, I called you, or at least the moment I knew, and I stopped my cleanse. Like I literally got my package maybe a week before. At what point do I then start to go back to a cleansing regimen? If now I'm drinking iron tea, now I'm, I have nettle, I drink elderberry, I have my bladder CMOS blend that I take as a capsule. But at what point do I start going back on like a cleansing regimen?
I just asked that good question. A friend of mine, a lady, just have a son the other day. And so I went to rent a car from her. So her husband was there and he must say, him have asthma. So, well, you can't give me for asthma, God. You go to asthma. You say, I have something 9OC. I say, yeah, man, we have that. Same by one. When him taste it, she tell me, go back, care about the car, and she say, my husband not drinking something, So I say, why? She say, I'm afraid I say too bitter. So I say, where there? She say, I'm here drinking. She just have a son, The child must be about 4 months.
Okay.
So I say, are you drinking 9OC? She say, yes. I say, So what going on with the baby? So nothing not going on with him. So she have hernia. So she don't want to cut it. So me I make sure you know, sir, hernia is a feces. If you go to the hospital where it's swell up and them slit it, you will see just raw feces come out of it.
Wow.
Appendicitis problem, feces. And it's not good because we end up in the lymphatic system. So she drink it and it work for her and she add another buckle. And she's breastfeeding.
Okay. Wow.
So, but me, if she had asked me and said, sell more 9OC, she would drink while she breastfeed. But I said no. Because I don't know the function.
And the baby doesn't have diarrhea, like since it's something that
no, I'm to the baby. When I tell her she had to me say the man not drink it, but true she had the earn she start drink it.
Oh wow.
So just like you asked, at what point now do I go back? As far as me see all these things work, is it also the information we media get from a long time, but I say a pregnant woman, it may be to the abortion, abort the child.
Right.
That is where media get. But then I remember a girl called me one time. She was pregnant and drinking corkscrew. And corkscrew, when we hear back then, is something where we flush your baby out because of the laxity plant. And I say, what you say you had drink? And she said, corkscrew. So I say, what happened to the baby? She said, nothing happened to him, but I just have to find out if I can continue to drink it. I said, my God. So I said, nothing happened to the baby. She said, no. The information that we get about plants that they're crude to a child baby mother, it scare we. So we never tell people say, don't do that. Even though mother still say, don't drink the 9OC when you're pregnant. Unless it's just my baby mother and my house where I'm pregnant. I say, sippy.
Right. Where you can monitor it.
Right. But now me see this woman that drink it for her baby was she feed. And she said, not doing me all right. She just want to get better. So, you can take tiny doses just to, because now when you have baby, the afterbirth sometime
Take a while.
right. I mean, so them give is it injection?
Injection for what?
To clean out.
Oh no, you get the enema capsule. And so you can't leave the hospital until you have gone like at least once. And then after that, you should be okay if you have like a normal birth. But my last birth, I didn't take anything after that. Like once I, went to the bathroom at the hospital, that was pretty much it. So, but my placenta last time around came out like whole. So there wasn't much rupture aside from the baby coming out. And, that added to the, hastening the healing process. This time around, like every pregnancy is different. I'm hopeful, but I can't guarantee that will be the case.
Well, what the iron tea does, I know, because it is a blood cleanser and a strengthener of the body, it works perfect. And the nettle tea also cleans the blood and it cleans the reproductive system.
Right.
So those are good. The 9OC, as I say, if you can't take tiny dose, like a cock or just a teaspoon with enough water, it goes through the system. But once you get pregnant, you still want to, make sure so nothing left over.
Right.
Just do some cleaning up. Because what we experience after a while, women tend to have complex things. Guava leaf is good. Guava leaf as a douche, very excellent plant for the female reproductive system. That clean out anything going on wrong right there. Very, 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 very good. And raspberry leaf also is another excellent plant.
Raspberry, right? I have raspberry leaf.
Very good. We tell all females buy a douche bag. Guava leaf, raspberry leaf, douche 3 times per week. Because what happened, y'all create acid pretty fast with yeast. And one of the problems, we have so much miserable women in the world. 3/4 of the women have yeast because they eat yeast food. And what it does, that disgusting behavior is because the yeast leach minerals out of them brain, but them don't know that happen. It pull down the mineral from your head and then lose it constant. All of them madness we see them with princess them behave. That is exactly what is taking place.
Right.
And then eat the yeast food again tomorrow. And then get mad the next day. And then go hard. And you would have just said, this is why we're losing our women and women who are no man. It's the food. It causes a descendant in the mineral system, especially to move carbon and copper out of them head. And so you can't behave good if your minerals support your brain. I move.
Right.
You have to act hard and behave stupid. The moment you start put back the mineral to the brain and change up the food, then your head come back. When people say head gone, at that them talk about the food that take away your head. So with like for yeast food, I would say nettle tea good, guava leaf good, raspberry good. Them thing that good for you, the woman them douche with. Drink the nettle tea because it's an iron plant and it's a brain plant and it's a heart plant. So just the little tiny knowledge can help all the sisters in them around the world. And as we said, the thyroid people.
Help me.
Yeah.
And for other persons who may be struggling, like your issue might not be a thyroid issue, like you said earlier on. It might be, leukemia, it might be diabetes, it might be hypertension, but the principle is the same.
Yeah, man,
And
the same
once
thing.
you are, cleansing the body and then supplying it with the minerals and changing the way that you eat, then it's only a matter of time.
So let me ask you something. As this food place in America, farmers market, it not good anymore.
So farmers market here. So I've been to a couple. Like know that it's in season period. Like you can get seeded watermelons, you can get corn, you can get like your fruits and vegetables that way. So that's not how I buy, but certainly during like the colder months when things aren't in season, it's harder to find some of those stuff. And especially when you go to the farmers market, it's no different from what you'd find at like a Walmart or a BJ's in those times. So during that time, like even if I buy a watermelon, I know it's not gonna be seeded. It's out of season. So I can probably switch to pumpkin during those times, like more pumpkin or foods that are normally found during that time of year.
Yes,
But
yes.
it just is what it is.
What state are you in?
North Carolina.
Oh, so if you're backyard now, you can't farm up nothing around there.
So I do plant some stuff. Me and a farmer like like that. Like right now, I have like basil. I have okra. I have tomato.
Yeah.
I have, but then even those seeds that are being sown.
Manufactured, yes. Well, you come to Jamaica and get the real thing.
That's what I need to do. And I do have like places like Florida that are more similar to Jamaica in terms of like temperature. Then I can order like soursop. There's places online that have like soursop, guava, tamarind,
yes, man,
sprouted coconut, dragon fruit, egg fruit, tomato fruit. So I've been trying to like expand. Okay, I'm craving the tropical fruits anyway, because when I was pregnant with my daughter, every day I had a jelly. Every day I had fruit. But that's not as readily available like here. My fruits man only come this side on a Saturday.
Yeah,
so that's the only time that I can really get like cane and sugar and jelly and them kind of something there.
Don't trouble too much cane doing it.
No, I don't have, like Frankie told me about the sugar cane. I haven't had that in years actually. But in terms of somebody who he's Jamaican as well, who would have those kind of fruits and have them readily available, I only can see him once a week. So if I miss that trip, then that's it. We have to work with what we have.
New York are going good now too, Guys, when I talk to them most time, they say, yeah, man, everything with that Jamaica, we'll get it yes or no, man. I say, what? I say, yeah, man. New York.
What?
Yeah, they might tell me, say, no, man, I say, man, we get to breadfruit, man, we get to coconut, man, natural coconut, man, we get to apple, man. I say, well, you say, yeah, man, but even in England, the same thing I go on. I think they get access now.
There is a Caribbean store here that I found that I've been going to, but say you want a good mango. The mango them fluxy, the guava them fluxy, the plum them when them have like
no good.
And even the fluxy, it's like overly priced. Like I said, no sir, one mango cancer deer with not other car buying up anyway, and you can't eat it. Like a real pine, I can't tell the last time I had a good pine. Because the pine go from green to rotten. So just that kind of navigating that kind of issue. Because even when you buy it from the farmer's market, it's the same thing. So I haven't learned how to time that, or whether or not or maybe Jamaica spoiled me. Like they used to be good sugar loaf.
Yeah, man. You have to go farm.
We're bright orange. So it is an adjustment. Or just even finding, like real callaloo that, look like them just chop off the head of the callaloo, but you have actual stalk and some whole leaves. Like that has been a challenge, but we make do, and it's a continuous effort. And I think that once you put that effort out, then every now and then you get a little bus and you say, Bombard, find this other place.
It actually did, it's just to find it. Guys, when me come America, me hunt. I'm gonna stop until me find it. I say, there are somewhere in the man. Which part is there?
And when I do find it, I like, as much as I can afford in the moment, I'll buy it and then I'll freeze. Like I'll have a vacuum sealer and I'll get some of that and freeze it. Or, you know, I'll process a lot of it myself if I can get it like whole. And then just, all right, cool. I feel a lot better now that I've secured. I call it my stash. I kind of build up my stash.
Farmers market is every 6 months, them come with good stuff?
No, well, no, it's weekly or like daily. Like,
no,
for example, stuff, like Friday, fresh stuff. You can go to what you call a U pick. So you can be the person if you want to pick your own fruits or pick your own corn, pick your own watermelon. It just depends on where you live. So being in North Carolina, you have a lot more land space. You have a lot more farmers. So it's easier to just Google a U-pick and go pick your own fruits or establish a relationship with a farmer. And pick your own stuff. So it just depends on what you eat too, because you know they're gonna grow things that Americans eat. So that adjustment is also needed as well.
Interesting. That is why I'm gonna really migrate all these years now.
Trust me. I haven't felt it any more than I felt it like now, especially like when the cravings hit. Like I really, really want June plum and like some Jamaican apple. I can't tell the last time I've had some Tahiti apples or a good sour sop, but you know, it is what it is. You make I'm
feeding on some milli mango and them sweet
mango. So you know, you're not catch for that, but like June plum, what's the fruits? Jeez. June plum, apple, jackfruit, like real.
No, jackfruit, my food that.
Store, but them green. I don't know what kind of jackfruit that.
I eat a jackfruit in California a couple years ago, but I see them as a jackfruit. This so I don't know for Indonesian them are Chinese.
Chinese.
Look like.
Yeah, Chinese.
I say, what is this? And I say, jackfruit. And I say, all right, give me a slice when I test it now. When I eat it, I say, no, it's not a jackfruit. This is exactly like a fruit jack.
I bought a whole one the first time I saw it. I said, all right, make it stay up on the counter a little bit. A week goes by, a couple of days go by, and I said, all right, time to cut it.
Awesome. Hey, we have some jackfruit down at Jamaica. We all eat 6-7 bag of them.
I'm used to walking up the road to pick my own jackfruit. Or picking apple from across the road, or having these very the size of my head that's growing on a tree, or cashew fruit. I'm surprised the other day I talked to a couple folks that lived here. And I'm like, you know, like cashew has a fruit. They have never seen a cashew fruit, much less a taste cashew drinks. And like those things make me, you know, appreciate a Caribbean experience a lot more because it's so much more readily available. And
look at chocolate.
You're in more control of
chocolate yet. How much people have said chocolate yet? And they mean chocolate.
Well, I bought one. So the place that I told you I found online, they had cocoa. And growing up, cocoa tree, like my grandmother made chocolate with the mortar.
Yes.
And when I showed my daughter the pods, she's like, what's that? That's chocolate. And I showed her, it's like, you normally suck off the pod and make it dry and then.
Yeah. Strange to people when them see it and they say, I don't know that. What was that? I eat you buying at a pharmacy and supermarket. I mean,
exactly. Exactly. Or like nowadays, I'll find like cassava. And I'm like, you know what? Well, I can make bami. Like I grew up making all this stuff. I can make my own bami. I'm like, you know, you never know. It's going back to those kinds of like simple ways of eating, but of course,
that is what I'm talking about.
Moderation and make sure you're not eating in good portion, and you'll be fine.
I think what happened in the whole sickness medical world is that the medical authorities run out of ways to solve health issues. And so they have to come up with new things constantly because it's not working. And it was simple. There's a law that's set, and once you violate the code of honor, you just have to feel. God make this body perfect. If you're sick, bathroom it out. Stop it. You're not gonna dead, guys. Sometimes I really need people need too much anyway. And so you think say if you stop it, you're gonna dead and you're gonna have this and that and that. No, not gonna happen. You feel a little way, drink a little water, but stop it.
Yeah.
Flush yourself, go to the bathroom, take out the waste. Every animal do it. Once them sick, them stop eat. As big as the elephant is, if the elephant gets sick, in lay down and stop eating and eat grass. And flush themselves. And within a couple of days, them up and running again. I see the dog do it, I see the cat do it. They don't need doctors, them don't need vet because them born enough to take care of themselves. Man just modify them and make it look like say they can fix them. But these are God creatures, them know to do themselves. It's the same thing with weed. This machine actually heals itself. You just have to take the waste out of it and leave it alone, make it tracker. And it jump back into being because you create the kind of way that the energy way you use is force of life, knows what's going on. Remember, God living in you. The Bible said the body is a temple of the living God. So if God lives in you, you have to feed him. But if you feed Satan more, then you are sick. Because Satan is in the business of killing people. You know, he's in the business of saving people. He's in the business of killing. God is in the business of life. So if you feed the Almighty more, you won't get aggressive, angry, and want to kill anybody. You will stay healthy. That is why I have what they call Bretonarian. People don't eat to live. You have some people don't eat nothing at all and them are living. But you don't hear about these things. But a whole heap of them about, them call them Bretonarian. They produce straight oxygen. And then they really, most time don't live in the plane of
I watched a documentary with that and a guy, he just, the way in which even breathing, like when you're more intentional with how you breathe, like that helps a lot. And even as you're doing exercise, you know, once, if you're being instructed, they tell, okay, breathe in here and then breathe out here. Like it's over time that I realized that, okay, well, you know, breathing just in terms of even processing information. Normally when we're going through something tense, we hold a breath subconsciously, as opposed to like breathing through it. So,
but if you check good, the lungs extract mineral from the air. You know? That's what the lungs pipe do. It extract mineral from the air that we breathe, and it comes through your body and it goes through the blood as oxygen. And these Bretonarians, they know that.
all right.
But you can stop eat for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. You know? But what you do is put the mind in a place. If you say, all right, no food now coming, the blood attack the mucous membrane and start shut the mucus. So you come up from your stomach and spit it out. When you do that 7, yes, you're not used to it, so your body will feel funny. But after the past 4 days, the body start conform to the new reality where I come in, which is something I did already. And I find out after 5 days, you feel different. But the information in your brain say, you need food. So you go eat, then you defeat the whole of the 4 days. But let's say you go 7 days, 8 days, no food, drink a little water. Yeah, all right. Then you break that. It's like a fasting. You eat some fruits, especially in a liquid meal, because a flush, you go flush, make it go through your body, and you go bathroom and you feel good. You develop that constantly. Any day you find say you can go 1 day without food and you not drop down. 2 days, 3 days, you not drop down. Or you just do fruits and nothing happen. You continue, you find out when people say your lifespan is 70 years, it's not. If you practice these lifestyles, you find you can even go to 100 and hard and going easily. Is this whole heap of different information? Now Google people go up and down, them are mad themselves. Me have to slow down. For my friend Keisha, I have to slow down and say, stop, go up and Google. Just live with what I go on because it mad your brain. And once you stop taking so much information
overload.
Oh,
because a lot of people, we crave the information so that we can do better, but there's so much of it that you don't know how to connect the dots and then remove what's not necessary.
He who controls the printing page also controls the thinking age. Remember that. Anybody who controls your literature or print your information, then control your mind. So you have extract, take away yourself from that and go root, go whole, way back. What was my great grandmother doing? Why she lived to be 110? What she did? Why she never have so much complication and she never have these information? Know that we should be living better with the information we have. You're dying.
And a lot of that is like, as you said, that even now, like a lot of just even how foods were cooked back then, like you couldn't afford vegetable oil, you couldn't afford canola oil, you have to rely on coconut oil. So the other day I made rundown, and my daughter was having it for the first time, and she, I was surprised at her reaction. She loved it, but I'm like, just even like roasting a breadfruit or roasting a piece of yam or those kinds of things, it goes back to like you're losing less oil, and what little oil you're using is natural. Like a lot of that helped. So there are things from the way in which we grew up or how food was prepared back then that we can carry with us.
Yes, man.
Certainly, there were parts of it that weren't serving them.
When you cook with oil, which we tell people don't, because it's not healthy. And it's not like our parents have all of it, but because it was much better. Canola oil or soybean oil are toxic poison. And overall, even if you use olive oil, once you eat olive oil or any other oil, the chemical change. Once the chemical change, your liver will get damaged. That is just the reality with oil drinking. But when our parents was using it, they were using coconut oil. Now, coconut oil have lauric acid, which is good for your heart. And it has some form of calcium fluoride, good for your teeth. But you don't want to drink that in a high consumption. The reason why it never bap and kill off and box down our people, as we say, it was still a good oil. Not like them a wicked oil, but there, and we usually still do things natural. Remember, as a youth, our fast food was still fruits. The fast food was actually ripe banana and mango.
You can find around you. Yeah, you can pick two orange or the stone or apple tree.
Now our fast food is papaya. It's a total different thing. So even our little children now, when we carry them out, we have to go, especially the fathers. I said, I don't want to go in the bad fast and say, but she need it. Me not the constant word. So when we do, but I travel out with my children because I know as I move out, so they might pipe me in Kentucky. And since they live with mommy, and mommy, I did that. It's not a situation I can fight with. Guys, stresses the body. So we just stay answer. If you're sick, then we fix it. But we can't fight with the situation. So we really want to go forward, not back, forward to the Asian culture and do things simple. And live a simple life, not complex it too much. And your thyroid gland will function. So for those who are listening, them can get the bugleweed, which is good, the bladderwrack, which is good. Those are good plants, and keep a cascara sagrada that bathroom
nearby.
Right, and you can this come from overseas, Yeah, and just keep it in your house. Drink nettle tea. Nettle tea is a powerful tea. Reason why? Because it protect the brain and the heart, and it cleanse the blood, and it good for your whole female reproductive system and also digestive system. So that's why we talk about it so much. You keep them things in your house. Cascara, nettle. If it's thyroid problem, then you get your bladderwrack and your bugleweed. It helps with the thyroid gland. Nettle good for diabetes.
Right.
Nettle good for your heart, good for your brain, good for your blood. So if you're anemic, it take down high blood pressure, hypertension, high blood sugar. It gives calcium in your bone, choline good for your baby. All these things. So just keep them in your house. If you have a virus, then you can't away. If a sickness get out of hand, we can fix it up. No problem in that.
Yeah. Well, as always, Kimo, it's a pleasure having these conversations. Like every time it's a new layer, and we talk about things that just add more depth to the conversation. And I'm sure for persons who are watching, some persons reach out and say they have watched it probably 100 times, just trying to consume the information, or just, things that they didn't know. Like you always say, lack of knowledge is usually the first step, or the first reason, the main reason why persons are doing what they're doing. So just even being an avenue of new knowledge, combating what's out there, what's not out there already is doing some good. As always, I'll link the information to get in contact with Kimo.
Yes.
And you can reach out to him and just get a consultation, even as a starting point on your own issues. And then from there, I'm sure he'll prescribe you your customized package. Thanks again, Kimo. I really appreciate it. And see you on the next one. Bye.
I give thanks. Protect the family.
Yes, thank you.